Good good morning, everyone. Again, little bit with magnetos here. I say, to me, that spark looks strong enough that I showed you, but then again, you never know. I still have yet to try it. I want to put the H on it and crank it over at speed with the distributor cap off and watch the safety gap and see if it continually jumps the safety gap, which it should. But I'm not going to do that right now this morning. Right now I'm going to look at some other mags. I mean, I've had all kinds of suggestions about, recharging the magnets, which would be good, but, you just don't find a mag shop down the street. And coil and condenser, and I wired in an outside condenser, and that I honestly believe did help because I got it to fire after that, but not really run. And the coil, I think they call it a shunt wound. The coil is wound right down in the rotor, and that's not an easy option. So if I spend money on a magneto, it'll be this one. This is the original magneto. The impulse does work. It's very stiff. It has a very weak spark. I tried it when I first put the 60 together and we pulled it and it didn't even make a pop. But if I do send a magneto or have a magneto shop work on one and spend some serious money on one, this will be the one because it is the original magneto. But that isn't an option right now. So I may next couple of days when I have some time, I may be taking this apart to get the impulse to work free and just check it out. So I'm going to set this one aside for right now. This is the main Iceman magneto off my Caterpillar 28. And the last time I had that running, unfortunately, is almost 15 years ago. And this magneto did work good. And you see, I don't know if I did it at that time or if someone else did. They had wired in an outside external condenser. And I could make an adapter plate. This will take some adapting to put on the 60. And I could do that. But that isn't what I'm choosing to look at right now. Because I really don't want to rob one from one to make the other one run, because then you go back to the original problem in the first place. But for the time being and for a backup, I went through all my old magnetos and I found this little Wyco. Now, this one, the drive on this end, see this drive, the drive on the one from my 28, the tangs are a lot farther apart, so they won't match up. I have to make an adapter if I were to use it. But if you look at the tangs on this one, and if you look at the tangs on this Wyco, they're about the same, so these should work. So to put this Wyco mag on, I should just have to space it up and closer, as I believe. But the reason I really want this is if it doesn't have spark, or if I can't get spark out of it, this should be an easy one to wire in an external coil, eliminate the mag coil and wire in an external coil to make it battery ignition and just use the distributor part. So this should be a reasonably easy mag to do that with without drilling any holes through any of the bakelite in order to get a coil wire inside of it. So, and as I was telling a friend, I'd like to have a backup. So eventually I do want, ideally someday, have the original mag back on it, and I want a mag on it even if it isn't original. But it'd be nice to have a backup that I know should work with battery ignition. There's only one thing worse than having it, not having a magneto on it, and that's not having it run at all. So even if I need a battery with an external coil, at least then it would be running. So I'd like to work on this so I have a backup for a coil, for a magneto, once I do get a magneto working. So the first thing I'll do, I just pulled this off the shelf and I very highly doubt it, but we can look to see if it has any spark. Haven't cleaned the points, haven't opened it up. Just going to hook up this little tester with just a small gap. And snap it through and see if it by some miracle would have a spark. I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to see. Well, let's see. Now, oh, when I got it out, I cranked it through by hand, and impulse worked. Now it isn't. So of course we won't have a spark. Well, I'm going to start taking it apart to see what it looks like inside. Put that back on there. Let's see if we can get this cover off the impulse. Well, I think the screw is coming loose. The one on the other side is broke off. You know, them screws into aluminum, how bad they corrode. No, just broke it off. This time we got an actual punch. Well, it seems to be moving. Caught on that broken screw. So the cover's off the impulse. Now it's snapping again. Wouldn't you know it? Well, it would need lubricating in there anyway. Well, I don't see a spark. It would surprise me. Although the original mag, that was on the tractor and had sat outside its whole life. And when I did turn it through by hand the first time, although it, albeit weak, it did spark without even cleaning the points. So let's see if we can get to the points on this one. So there's the cap, the rotor. Now the big question. So the points have to be under here if these screws will come loose. Oh. Yeah, they're all turning real easy. So there the points are. Oh man. I'm gonna hold the camera close and look at it, see that it's focusing. Now look how horrifically those points are corroded. We're gonna sand those and then snap it through again and see if by any chance it all has spark. But if not, this one will be very easy to adapt to battery ignition. Now these points are so terribly corroded. I mean, they look like they have a lot of material on them yet, but they're so terribly corroded. I'm taking them out in order to clean them. Yeah, at least I think I'm taking them out in order to clean them. Just terrible, terrible corroded. Well, you don't have to watch me sand those. There, now those points look considerably better. Now we're going to reinstall them and see if this mag by any chance has spark. Isn't it nice how this old stuff can all be disassembled and worked on? Bronze bushing in the backlight or whatever it is for the points to pivot on. I mean, if there's any spark at all, I'll get a feeler gauge to adjust the gaps correctly. It says right on at 15 thousandths. I don't see any spark. But this will be a good one for candidate to convert to battery ignition. Because all I have to do is disconnect the coil in here. The condenser's in here. The wire from here going to the kill switch. This is where the kill wire would hook up to. That'll go to the... Boy, that's weird. Left-hand thread on this. That's weird. That's really weird. And it says, I wanted to get out of that hot, bright sun. But this is really weird. I say I'd hook the wire up going to the ignition coil where I believe the ground wire would hook on. But this is kind of strange. This nut is left-hand thread. This is kind of strange. This nut is left-hand thread, and it says stop with narrow turning at left-hand. And there's a little hole drilled through that stud. So I'm going to take this off, see about getting the coil out of there, and see how that's wired in on the other end of there. So I'll bring you back when I'm pulling this off. So I'm going to pull this off and see how that coil is wired in there to disconnect that. I'm not going to work on trying to get spark out of this magneto because I want to have it as a backup with battery ignition. I mean, I filed the points perfectly clean and there's absolutely no spark. So my guess is the rotor's bad or the coil's bad, and I'm not going to take time messing with it. I say if I put a time and effort into a magneto, it's going to be the time and money into a magneto, it's going to be the original. And then I took out the wrong screw. Drop the washer inside. Get these wires disconnected. And off that cover comes. There's the lock washer I dropped inside, stuck on a magnet. So I believe I'm going to take the coil right out of it. I might look online and see what. I could look online and see if there's coils available for this and everything. There's probably stuff available for this Wyco mag, but I'm not going to deal with it at all. I just want to get at the other back side of that grounding terminal. And there is a part number on that coil. Now, to me, that is very interesting that it has that left-hand thread on there and it says stop. And now I see how it works. This little spring is on the insulator, and if you turn that down, and now I see how it works. That spring is on the insulator, and if you turn it down, it'll ground it out there and stop it. So I'll take this piece off of there so that I'll be able to hook my wire up to this terminal and tighten it with this nut, because I'm sure I won't find a different left-hand nut for that stud, and that's where I'll be able to hook the wire up going to my ignition coil. So I'll be able to put it back together and hook an outside battery into it, which is a good thing in this case. I think I'll put this back on here, reassemble it all, eliminate my coil wire there, and I will be able to convert and have battery ignition for a backup. Even if I get a magneto working, I'll have a backup to put on it in case the magneto should fail. So I think that's gonna be it for today. Just a little bit so you know what I have in mind. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll get back to you again when I don't know if it'll be magneto work. I may be taking apart the original magneto and looking at that. So thanks again for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And one little bit more. This impulse on this Wyco mag is adjustable. It won't change your final timing, but it will change where your impulse trips. So when your spark comes when you're starting it. So that's kind of interesting. And impulse, even though it won't be a magneto anymore, it'll be battery ignition. The impulse is still serving the purpose of retarding the spark for cranking to start it so it doesn't backfire, because you most certainly wouldn't want that to backfire hanging onto that bar. So I'm going to let you with that. And any comments are appreciated, and we'll see you on the next one.